This conference is about my experience in how to set up a Matomo business partner network. This conference is business oriented, so I'm not here in order to talk about tracking codes or anything like this, but more about how to develop your business activity thanks to Matomo. So the conference goal is really to explain how strategical it is to find some resources outside of your company in order to provide Matomo services. Disclaimer, I removed everything in this conference which is obvious, so to say everything which deal about how to build a successful partner program in general. I removed it from the conference and I just refocus on the part which is specific about Matomo, because you can really find lots of information out there on the internet about how to build up a successful partner program. And that was really not the point for me of making a conference about how to make a successful partner program, but really more about what does Matomo as specific for a partner program. So about myself, I already made 2 conferences this morning, but I'm working at Matomo as the customer success manager and customer experience. So to say, my role is to find a person who has the best expertise on earth in order to help Matomo end users. And I have another hat, which is as well that I'm in charge of the partner program at Matomo, which will be released very soon. So I'm not allowed, let's say, to communicate much about it, but just to let you know that if you applied over the last months through the Matomo partner program, because we do have a link on our website where you can register your interest to be a partner with Matomo. I'm the one who is receiving the different, let's say, interest, and then I'm in fact, let's say, answering to some of them. I cannot explain specifically about what we are doing. Of course, we will write an answer to everyone. But the thing is, like, I'm not going to talk much about this Matomo partner program, but it's going to come soon. I will talk about, let's say, developing a partner program in all sense, okay, all Matomo partner program in all senses. So thinking more about how yourself can as well develop a partner program. So the plan is the following one: to give a definition, then explaining why building a partner network is important when you are delivering Matomo services, how to structure it. We'll talk about the code of conduct, explain more about the resources and support, co-branding opportunities, and how to scale the partner network. And then I will finish about a summary about the keys to success. So first thing first, the definition. So 2 things, the network and the partnership definition. So a network is a system of interconnected individuals or entities that communicate or collaborate to share resources or information. So typically, if we take just Matomo Camp, that's the main reason why I wanted to build up an event which is gathering all the expertise around the world. The idea is like to get information, to share common resources in order to reach a common goal, which is to provide better Matomo services and to make, of course, Matomo more popular. So that's the definition of a network. A partnership, on the other side, is a collaborative agreement between parties to achieve shared goals and mutual benefits. And the most important part to me in this definition is really the mutual part, which is acting like a balance, because that's probably the main reason why your partnership may fail. It's with, at some point, you're getting balance. And I'm going to probably develop a little bit more about it. But keep in mind that you're going to build something in order to get more knowledge, more information. But if you want this to succeed, you have to find a good balance. And this is a sport in itself, because you're going to see by experience that it's not that easy. That if you make big mistake at the beginning, you're not going to reach those mutual benefits. And that's as well something which is moving in time. So that's super important. And so those were more traditional definition. My own definition is like developing a Matomo partner network is about subcontracting a part of your Matomo activity. So it's about acknowledging on your side, and trust me, that you cannot make it all alone. Okay, typically the conference that we just had before with Laurent Sittler, that was my point. It's like tomorrow you're going to get someone knocking at your door asking to deliver Microsoft SharePoint analytics services with Matomo. So maybe the bill, the quote is interesting, but high chances that you're not going to get the time and energy to make this project properly. So you will clearly have to consider, should I partner with someone like Laurent in order to make this project, or do I decide to make it on my own? I guess taking into account the level of expertise that it takes in order to discover a new platform, probably you want to go for a partnership, which is at the end of the day a subcontracting part of your services. Why building up a Matomo partner network? So I think I just already talked about it, but that's important to stress it out. Is like compared to, let's say, selling Google Analytics services, which mostly represent the left column that I have over here. Matomo's business, okay, is way too technical. So some people, probably newbie, and when they start with Matomo, they think that it's a clone of Google Analytics. And what they are doing with Google Analytics, they can easily reproduce it with Matomo. But in fact, that's, let's say, somehow possible if you are using the cloud. So let's say if you open an account on matomo.cloud and try to sell things, so you can try to put a trainer over there, which going to try to introduce, to present what Matomo can do. But sure, he's going to have some limitations soon. As well, you can deliver some consulting that's just mostly about tag manager, that's mostly about debugging. You can as well resell, so let's say creating account on behalf of other and then introduce them a level 1 support. So that's not that difficult to do. It just takes 2 to 3 years of experience. But that's only for the cloud activity. And in fact, a huge part of Matomo users, in fact, not cloud users, they are on-premise users. And if you are on-premise user, it means that in terms of expertise, you need to know about web hosting. You need to know about how to troubleshoot the configuration of Matomo on-premise, which is super technical. You need probably to be able to make some custom development and traditional thing, as we just saw on the left, training, consulting, reselling. And this, my own experience, represents at least 10 years of experience with Matomo. So here I'm talking about people who are used to play with Matomo, and the number of people who have a decade of experience about Matomo on Earth, you probably have a dozen of people. And I'm not joking here. So a dozen of people who are able, in fact, to deal with most of those services. So of course, you can maybe find one resource which is good at this, but this resource will probably not be good in the others at all. So typically, 10 years of experience if you want to be able to be somehow a good Matomo on-premise consultant. So it's way too technical. So in all cases, you need to partner with other, whatever your level is. I'm saying here that, for example, Evan at Matomo sometimes we are discussing with external consultant because it's way too technical, and the other way around. The technical expert outside, they need as well the support of Matomo. What is the value of a partner network? So let's be honest, as the example that I just gave with Microsoft SharePoint some months ago, the idea is to make more profit, more money, to make the community grow. That's typically what I introduced with Matomo Camp. And that was what I was explaining. Even among the best, let's say, at Matomo, we are not providing all possible Matomo services. So for example, if tomorrow you come to us and you ask, hey, are you able to handle the implementation of a measurement plan for iOS? Typically, if you look at GitHub, on GitHub, the person who is maintaining the iOS SDK is not part of the InnoCraft company. That's a community member, and that's where we cannot do everything. If you look, for example, at matomo.org on the integration page, resources, integration, all the technologies which are listed here, they are, let's say, more than 90% of them have not been developed by the Matomo company, let's say by InnoCraft. Those are all third-party members. So in all cases, you cannot do it on your own. Why does it take so long to get started when it comes to developing a Matomo partner network? The reason is, and that's for true, you don't get some fish every day, okay? Either you are on your own or either that you are working at Matomo, trust me, you don't have every day the expertise that your partners have. Once you get, in fact, those fish coming, okay, if it happens, and as well, you have to consider that Matomo is a, let's say, trendy technology. So when you get some news about privacy or from a privacy commissioner, then you start to get some markets which have never been awake before. So it's a trendy market. When, for example, Google Analytics is ending up one of his products, then you start to get some people and so on and so forth. That's the way it works. But on a regular basis, you don't get some fish every day. When you get some fish, then you need to find someone to who you can subcontract the project, which is as well not very often, because you have to consider that this someone that you're going to find need as well to get some fish quite often in order to develop an activity around this so that he or she cannot be rusty. The other thing is like you need as well to have partner which is good. And in order to have a partner which is good, he or she need to have different projects, and you need to be as well able to evaluate the quality of the project that they handle. This is as well not very easy to handle a Matomo partner network because you're going to have a fear of losing control. You'll have the fear that when you subcontract the project, you will lose an expertise, which is true. In fact, when you start, for example, to outsource your training activity about Matomo, at some point, you don't feel very much confident about giving training anymore because it has been a long time that you are finally not giving any training. It's as well concerned when it comes to privacy. Okay, does the partner going to steal you those leads that you're going to send to him or her? In terms of security as well, how much information can I share with this partner? And in terms of brand image, that's as well a big thing, and it's touching every type of service. You're going to outsource something to someone, but what's going to happen if the person's not going to give a good service? And you feel bad when, in fact, you give it to the wrong person. Let's say, you jeopardize your brand image in exchange of getting like 10 or 20% commission. So that's as well, the fear of losing something is one of the reasons why it takes some energy, some guts in order to launch a partner network. The good news is that as far as there is money to play, it can work. Really, the key thing about a good partner network is really if there are some fish and that the fish are paying. So the key takeaway about starting a partnership is like there is some risk. Okay, that's my idea. Is like the first guy through the wall always get bloody. Is that in all cases starting a partnership is difficult. So you need to take, let's say, as much security as you can, but on the other way, you need to be fast as well, because as I said, you don't get fish every day. So it's kind of all the time a kind of good balance between launching the stuff, trusting the person, and trying to secure as much as possible the, let's say, the lead of the project. The third part that I wanted to introduce you is the structure of a Matomo partner network. So just to let you know that you will need so many expertise within your partner portfolio. And that's as well one of the reasons why I wanted to have a Matomo camp, why I wanted to have at least three different rooms. It's like there are so many expertise to cover that you need to know on Earth who is able to do what, because you cannot make it on your own. So just to name a few, you will need what I called sysadmin. So to say someone who knows what a server is. You will need a consultant. You will need a web analyst, reseller potentially, trainer, and plugin developers. So when it comes to the sysadmin, you have to know that without his expertise, so for the people who don't know what a sysadmin is, sysadmin is a person who is able to maintain a server. And the server is the device which is going to hold the Matomo, okay, for people who are on-premise. So without this expertise on board, you cannot sell Matomo on-premise services. You cannot sell Matomo on-premise services. So you are, let's say, cutting more than half part of your body from the market shares when it comes to Matomo services. Because the thing is that most of the clients which are having issue with Matomo on-premise, the question that they're going to ask you are server related. So if you don't have this expertise, you are done, and you cannot pretend to get any market shares about Matomo on-premise. That's not possible. The second profile, the Matomo consultant. That's typically the most demanded partner type. That's the person will be able to find the solution for you. Okay. Doesn't mean that this person will be able to operate, execute, and act and solve the problem on its own. But this person has to act somehow. I'm not going to say as a commercial, but more as a guy who has a huge portfolio of contacts, who is able to ring the right bell, understand what the person is telling him or her, and then be able to fix the issue. Okay, that's typically someone who has an overall general good knowledge of everything and who has good human skills in order to understand the issue, translate the issue into a readable or understandable document or request in order to address it to the right person, getting a quote from this person, getting the signed quote by the client, and then being able to double check the work which have been made by the operator, let's say. You need to have as well in your portfolio the web analyst. So the web analyst is kind of probably the easiest profile to find out. So someone who is able to understand, define, and deploy a measurement plan, so as dealing with quality assessment as well, because typically the consultant is not going to do everything. So the consultants need to know someone who is good at defining a measurement plan, giving him all the spec, and then do all the, let's say, not going to say the low value part, but at least the parts that the consultant won't be able to do because he or she is exhausted. This type of profile is not difficult to find. You can easily convert Google Analytics web analyst into a Matomo web analyst. But keep in mind that, well, that's part of the business in web analytics. They can easily be stressed out. And because it's time intensive when you are defining and deploying a measurement plan. And the thing here is really to be able to communicate properly with her or him in order to say, okay, Matomo is not that much different from Google Analytics. And if you have an issue, me as a consultant, my role is to help you. So if there's a good communication with the web analyst, you can make it. The reseller. So reseller is an activity for people, and there are some out there who cannot purchase properly the Matomo services and need you to do the administrative part in order to purchase and resell them afterwards. So you don't need to be a Matomo expert, even if you have level 1 support, your clients will love it. What you just need to understand is the business model of Matomo. That's mostly more a commercial aspect in terms of pricing part of Matomo and the licensing model of the on-premise plugin. But it's important that you know a little bit more Matomo so that you can be more, let's say, legitimate than any other traditional reseller. The other profile that you will need is a trainer. So this is important because that's typically the profile which will be the tops if there's no Matomo partner next to it. Because what's going to happen is, like, if you're a trainer with the on-premise, for sure, the people attending to the training will ask you about the errors that they are seeing within the user interface. And if as a trainer you don't know how to answer, they will easily identify you as a clown, and your trainer is going to lose her or his face. So it's important that the trainer has, within the Matomo partner network, someone, either a consultant or sysadmin, who is able to help her or him. And the plugin developer, so it's like unicorn, you don't see them very often. And most of the time, well, there's probably one or two guys on Earth who are able to, let's say, develop plugins for Matomo, at least for a fee, with which are not going to be cleared by spec document. But what I'm saying by experience, that most of the time, when the quote arrive to the end user, they don't have the budget for it. So this is a really rare project. Probably it represents like 1 or 2% of the project when there's custom development. But it's always good to have a plugin developer, Matomo plugin developer in your portfolio, because sometimes you get a super big lead and you want to convert it. Part number 4, it's about the standard and code of conduct. I'm going to be straight away here. About the code of conduct, there's one thing which is super important with the partnership, is the money part. That's clearly what's going to make the partnership lens. So address this point straight away. It's important that your partner get a clear idea about how much they're going to get from this partnership. And once this part has been written into stone, okay, once we are clear about what's going to happen, who's going to be paid, when, how much, and so on and so forth. After adding the story about contracts and rules and other things, you can go for it after. But the most important part is really the money. So if it's not clear, that's going to clearly be the issue at the end of the day. And that's almost what I had to say dealing with the code of conduct. The most important part in a partnership is really the balance part, and as it's about a business partnership, that's really money which is into. Part 5 is about the resources and support. So keep in mind that you cannot cut yourself from the Matomo software editor. Okay, that's impossible because you will need to have good relationship with Matomo, so to say InnoCraft, because at the end of the day, the software is mostly developed by the Matomo team. And you will need as well to have the guy with the human experience to explain it to you. So that's as well super important. Is like when you will need to get some help about Matomo, you will need to understand the ecosystem of Matomo, how is it working, what is the GitHub issue system, and you will need to have someone who is able to understand this language so they can explain it to you. Number 6, why co-branding opportunities will work. So this is what I'm clearly saying on the field. Because in fact, when you are delivering Matomo services, you are just alone. Okay, so it doesn't make any sense to just post communication about the fact that you are doing some Matomo services, because what you're going to have is probably 1 or 2 likes. So what you need to do is like having more sound about your things that you are doing. And for this, you have no choice than developing your network with other people who have as well the expertise. Your solution, and I think Thomas Persson presenting Digitalist today make it clear enough that you need to give back as well to the community. So it's important to develop things, to promote them, and to create those things with others so that others can as well communicate with you, that you can work on a common project so that you can make more noise. So for example, let's imagine that tomorrow, as an agency, you are promoting the fact that you just released a website for one of your clients, and that on this website you added Matomo on it. It's more interesting to communicate to the Matomo team and say, hey, is there any way we could write together a case study, because we are promoting Matomo and it will make sense as well that you guys promote us somehow, because that's a win-win situation. And then if you do so, then of course your network will be added to the Matomo network, and you will have, of course, after that, more chances to make some noise. So key takeaway, the main reason why people are looking for Matomo is due to privacy regulation. So you are dependent from business education. That's as well something which is linked to the fish part that I was mentioning before. So keep in mind that promoting Matomo, you're not going to get that much, let's say, noise at the beginning, because everything is linked to the education of the people when it comes to privacy. So the more people who are educated about privacy, the more people will start to get interested by your post. But at the beginning, without any help, you will scream in a desert. With some help, you will be into screaming in the desert. And with the time, you will see that it will grow step by step. But keep in mind that in all cases, it's not going to be exponential. I tried it for you before, and trust me, the growth of Matomo is not exponential. It's just one step at a time. Point number 7, managing and scaling up the partner network. So that was what I was explaining before. It's not an exponential market, okay? The market where the demand is created based on the inexperience of the end user. So the more you educate your end user, then the more services you're gonna sell. Okay, trying to prospect with Matomo, it's super hard. However, looking at how your end users or listening to them about how they are using Matomo, you will see that actually there's kind of an experience of web analytics in general. And then you can start to capitalize on this. Then you can start to train them. And once they start to train them, then they will start to use goals. And if they use goal, they will start to make some benefits. And if they start to make some benefits, they will start to be happy, and so on and so forth. So keep in mind that there is a potential high demand, but there are very few offers. Okay, so it's your role, in fact, to wake this up from your existing clients, from the first fish that you will get. And for the first fish, as it may be sometimes some crazy project, this is where you need to have a partner network in order to have the right expertise to put in front of those crazy projects. So to say, scaling up, it's not difficult as far as you can keep your resources, so to say your network, your human resources internal as well, and that you can capitalize on documentation, and that's as well super important. If you look at matomo.org, that's a huge library of documentation and information, because that's a super technical project. So it's important that you can either capitalize on it either by reading those resources or also writing your own internal wikis or documentation. And to close down this conference, here the keys to success of a partner network. It's like a rodeo, honestly. It's hard because, as I said, sometimes you get some crazy project and you want to do your best. And about the key success factor is like you need to have a big network, and you need to start it right now if you don't have it. You need to trust each other. And really the key thing is to communicate, to communicate, to communicate, to communicate, and to communicate again. Okay. And that's of course a lot of energy. Sometimes you have the feeling that it's going not as far as you would have expected, but there's no secret. You need to communicate in order to explain clearly to your end user that you're gonna deal with a subcontractor. Then you need to ensure that your subcontractor is talking the same language as you, and that he or she is clear about the business, the money that he or she is going to get at the end. Then when the project is getting developed, you need to let's say to double check what is currently produced. Then you need to check as well with your end client if everything goes properly. And then you need, after all, to communicate co-marketing opportunity with your partner in order to ensure that. So at the beginning, of course, before trusting, let's say, entirely the partner, you will have the feeling to lose a lot of energy and money in the game, but that's how relationships are starting. As well, dealing with a partnership is considering straight away being international, because you don't have that many expertise about Matomo on Earth. That's as well one of the reasons why I wanted Matomo came to be as international as possible from the very beginning. It's because the expertise are so different. If you look at Sweden, they are really high in terms of privacy. So that's a market which is super interesting to consider. If you look at the US, that's definitely a B2B market. So that's something which is as well super important to know. France and Germany are historically the two most biggest market where most of the expertise are. So in all cases, if you are not used to discuss with German profile, if you are not used to discuss with French profile, if you are not used to discuss with Swedish profile, you cannot really take out the most of Matomo, because this represents so many expertise that you need to have. Typically, if you take the case of Jessica, who was talking in room number 2, well, what are you going to do tomorrow if a US lead is contacting you and telling you, okay, I need a Matomo solution which is HIPAA compliant? Well, if you are based in Europe that you don't know anything about HIPAA compliancy, can you be trustful in front of your end clients? That's not possible. This important thing as well, you need to be available right away, because even though there's no not that many Matomo service provider out there. There's still some competition, and project when it comes to Matomo most of the time are very profitable. So even if it's a small market, it's competitive in terms of Matomo service provider. As I said, you have to be creative because sometimes Matomo is not just doing what you want. So you need to think at 360 degrees about how to solve the solution. You need to chase your profile. That's a job in itself. That's clearly what I'm doing all the time, every day. I'm taking like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of my time to add as many people as I can who are communicating on social network about Matomo. Because talents are rising every